Tim Cook has been in India for 3 days now, and his itinerary is a whirlwind of activity. After hobnobbing in Mumbai with Bollywood celebrities and catching up on some IPL action in Kanpur, the Apple CEO is in Delhi today, where he has had a spate of meetings lined up. He met with Zomato CEO Deepinder Goyal a short while back and is currently meeting Bharti Airtel chairman Sunil Mittal. That is part of his plans to meet top telecom companies to build partnerships for the distribution and sale of Apple devices. Tim Cook has stated several times that iPhone sales will get a big boost once high-speed 4G networks gain traction in India. And earlier today, the Apple CEO dropped in at the offices of online food ordering app Zomato in New Delhi. The founder of Zomato tweeted pictures of the visit, saying it was great to catch up and that he's excited about Apple's plans in India. Apple is working closely with dozens of startups like Zomato, Snapdeal and Paytm to offer Apple users a more detailed experience on its platforms. India finally seems to be getting in its position of importance within the Apple universe. Proof: Apple CEO Tim Cook's visit to India. This is being seen as a clear indication that given slowing growth in China and falling revenues, Cook is doubling down on Apple's play in India. Here's a report of the Apple CEO's first 3 days in the country.
I love India.
He may run a company worth $520 billion, but Tim Cook is clearly totally smitten with India. His first visit to the country saw Cook checking off numerous items on his to-do list right from when he touched down, from a visit to Mumbai's famous Siddhivinayak temple to meeting with top corporate honchos, to a Bollywood-style party to even an IPL match in Kanpur. It wasn't all play and no work. Cook took care of Apple business along the way, opening a technical development center in Hyderabad, which will eventually employ over 4,000 people, and making a few key announcements, including the setting up of an accelerator in Bengaluru. Clearly, for Cook and for Apple, India has suddenly become a big deal. And why not? According to Gartner's latest report, the first quarter of 2016 saw a 3.9% increase in the sales of smartphones, with Chinese brands like Huawei, Oppo and Xiaomi emerging as the new top global brands. Apple meanwhile saw sales of its iPhone decline to a little over 51,000 units in the January to March quarter of 2016 from 60,000 units a year ago. This led to its revenues dropping over $8 billion to $32.86 billion. So, Cook's visit is now being seen as an acknowledgement that Apple cannot afford to miss out on the smartphone boom in India, a boom that has overtaken China to become the fastest growing smartphone market in the world.
We've always tried to do products that would enrich other people's lives, because we are driven as a culture by changing the world and changing it for the better. And in that, I think that we will find many kindred souls in India.
But Apple's dreams for a bigger bite of the Indian smartphone pie will not be easy to realize. 1. There's stiff competition from cheap phone makers. 2. Apple's distribution network is not as robust. And last but not the least, the Apple iPhone's price point, which many feel is prohibitive for the Indian market. This has Apple banking on tech startups to expand its market share and develop tailored content for Indian users, which explains Cook's meetings with many of these enterprises, even a few surprise ones.
When someone tells you, I'm going to meet Tim Cook in 5 minutes, you'll be damn nervous, right? But the moment he walked in, everything was all right. He has very comforting body language and calming zen-like personality, right? So the moment he walked in, you feel okay, you have got another team member joining you and you can brainstorm so easily with him, because amazing grasping power, very good questions, and if you have an idea, he will cross-question the idea, and if you have the right reasoning, he will accept it, right?
Apple definitely seems to be going into helping the smaller startups or overall startups in general, helping understand what Apple can give, how do you leverage the Apple ecosystem, and overall, the right ways of doing things, right, in terms of product, in terms of usage, in terms of how they look at consumers. Really bringing in the Apple thought process and sharing that with the Indian environment.
Apple has also been trying to access the fact that its distribution network in India is still weak, but more importantly, beef up its manufacturing presence in the country, and that's where his meetings with policymakers in Delhi comes in.
This issue, not with reference to Apple alone, but with reference to cutting-edge technology, had gone up to the government, and government had taken a call that in cutting-edge technology projects, we will look at this on a case-by-case basis.
In this regard, Cook has certainly set the right tone by committing to a 1,000-year relationship with India.
Since he has made a public statement that his commitment to India is going to be for 1,000 years, I take this opportunity also to publicly compliment the CEO of Apple, who is in India, for his public commitment towards the attachment of India. We need to work together for growth, investment, manufacturing and value addition.
But the real clincher will be his meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is scheduled for Saturday. And what happens after will decide whether his India darshan has really paid off for Apple. With Rukmani Rao and Adit Charlie in Bengaluru, in Mumbai, Kritika Saxena.